This is the time we want to recognize all of you as volunteers, because as Paul so ably said today, this program is volunteers. If it wasn't for our volunteers, we would have no program. And so we want to recognize all of you. Thank you for what you're doing for senior drivers in Iowa. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of dedication. And I want to talk a little about dedication. There's Sandra Winkle. I got an email from Warren, her husband, a couple of days ago and said, we're wanting to get there. We don't know if we'll get there Thursday, but hopefully we'll be there by Friday because Sandra has to have a new battery put in her pacemaker. And she showed up this afternoon. Now, is that dedication? It is. Several years ago, we started a Volunteer of the Year award to try to recognize someone in our group that we felt did an outstanding job. And unfortunately, the people that this is going to tonight, Larry and Sonia Maxwell, are not here. For those of you that know Larry, he jumped in both feet into the driver safety program. Before he retired, he'd been a pharmacist, had a drugstore and a pharmacy in Davenport. They retired, bought a motorhome, traveled until I think they were tired of that. Wintered in Texas, and then they finally settled down and bought a place in Ankeny. And Larry and Sonia were trained as instructors, and then we found out of his great enthusiasm for this program. We started with Connie Schuster, where's Connie, as our marketing specialist, and after a year, Connie and I decided that one marketing specialist was too big a job for the state of Iowa. So we came up with the idea, okay, we've got 4 districts, let's do a marketing specialist in each district. And Larry, even though he lives in Ankeny, we needed somebody in northwest Iowa, and he assumed that responsibility. Traveled all over up there, trying to recruit people and tell them about driver safety, and just did a great job. Then Hendrine, who was the district coordinator up there, because of some health issues with her, and her sister said, I can't do that anymore. Larry assumed that acting district coordinator until we could find somebody else. Then also Larry was chosen to be on the National Revision program that Paul was talking about today earlier. And then early this year, Larry had some serious surgery. He, I think, has had problems over the years with cancer in his face and so forth. Had some very serious surgery. Is undergoing treatment now. I talked to him the other day and said Ruth and I wanted to stop by tomorrow, and he was apologizing to me because he was not able to be out doing things for driver safety, and the fact that I'm undergoing treatment, the surgery and everything, I'm depressed, I just haven't been able to do it. I said, Larry, you don't have to apologize to me. Your first responsibility is to get healthy. And he did share with me that he's hoping when he gets done with this, he's going to come back and work with us in the program. And so for that, we're going to recognize Larry and Sonia. Tomorrow on the way home, Ruth and I will stop, deliver a nice certificate to them as Volunteers of the Year for outstanding service to senior drivers. Also be taking them 2 shirts that say Volunteer of the Year, and Al Logan has sent them also a couple of gift cards from the AARP National Recognition Program to honor them. And so we're sorry that they can't be here, but they've, Also, as Paul talked about, the new National Recognition Award, the pins that have now been developed kind of look like an interstate sign, and so that's appropriate since we're involved in driver safety. And we need to make some recognition to people who have been in the program. And I was talking to Al, and I think for some reason we didn't get the number of and some of the right number of pins, but we will make sure we get them to you. First of all, on completing, after your first year of service with driver safety, you're awarded one of these pins. And the names that I have, Mary Kay and Marion Patterson, Bill and Renee Sheridan, and Karen Shields, for the people that are here. And I'm short one pin.
That's okay. That's fine.
Do you want him to come up to you?
So you can stand, let's see. Huh?
I was going to say we could show them.
We'll do that now and then get one for you. Okay. Leroy, I'm sorry, Leroy Stewart. He was here with us at the meeting last year. And for those that were short, Al will get those ordered and get them to you. We also have two individuals who have completed 5 years with us, and those are Richard Miller. And Richard, we're hoping, is going to be back working with us. He's been undergoing some heart problems, and looking forward to having you back to be with us. And Rich Weedy, who was our district coordinator in Northeast Iowa. So those two have. And then we have two deans who have been with us 15 years. One of them is Jim Helvig.
My goodness.
And we'll have to get another pen. Jim, as you were told today, was the state coordinator for tax aid, is now the regional, and has 6 states?
7.
7 states that Jim supervises. One year we held this a little bit on the 1st of April, and Jim says, "You know what the 15th of April is?" I can't be there. So, just for you, Jim, we've moved the date back. But the tax aid program has been growing fantastically. I forget, how many did you say we did in Iowa this year?
Should have been 18,000.
18,000 tax returns.
That's my 2
Driver safety. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I missed on here. Also, Karen Shields is our first year person from Wales. Several years ago, we started, I'm not necessarily that good at new ideas, but when somebody suggests new ideas, I'm more than willing to steal and use them. And from one of the other state coordinators, I took the idea, we started several years ago, of a circle of excellence, looking at trying to reward people. And in your packet, you got a sheet like this, and basically what we've set up is once you teach 25 classes or 250 students, you're in the bronze category. 50 and 500 is silver. Gold is 750. 75 classes or 750 graduates. And then we have the platinum of 100 and 1,000. And we have, as you can see on there, we have several people in the bronze category. We have one individual who this past year has moved from the bronze category into the silver, and that's Hendrine Karlsbeck. Since you should have a frame that your bronze certificate is in. We're not getting you a frame, but you get a certificate. And also, Al has sent you a gift card. I don't know if you've gotten it yet.
I did.
Okay.
I don't know where it came from.
So that's why you got it. So congratulations. So she moves into the silver. Alan Demarest is in the silver category. Gene Lavender, who just retired last year, was in the gold category. And we've had two past, one a team and another one, Bob Davis, who was a longtime instructor, attained the platinum before he retired. And then Dave and Dora Runyon. And I think this is the first year Dave and Dora, a sweet little couple from Council Bluffs, have not been here. They have finally retired. They taught, I think, 22 or 23 years. They are both have some serious health problems and have had to retire from the program. So it's designed to sort of give you some incentive to look forward and say, you know, what could I do? Then we have another individual that we don't know how to classify, but she's a dual teacher, both Minnesota and Iowa. That's Sandra Winkle from Pella. I think most of her teaching has been there, but this year AARP also started an award that they call the Century Club, and that's people who have taught over 100 classes. And Sandra moved up to, this year with, I can't remember how many she had, but she's moved over to 107. And so Sandra, we have from Julie Lee, the National Director, a letter to you of congratulations for the work you've done in driver safety both in Iowa and Minnesota.
Congratulations.
Also, I wanted to mention Alan Demarest. As Paul pointed out, Alan is on the National Committee Task Force to revise the driver safety program, and I couldn't be happier about that, because with his background, his extensive service as an instructor, trainer, I'm confident that he's sort of the head of one of the committees. I'm confident that we're going to have good, solid, based information in the driver safety program that we're all going to have to be trained with later on. As I said, when you talk about ideas, and Alan has come up with a number of them. Paul, you mentioned that AARP is working with Virginia Medical Institute.
Eastern Virginia Medical School.
Working on a national study. And most of you probably don't know how that came about. But Alan and I, over the past number of years, have been members of the Iowa Traffic Safety Alliance. That is a consortium of people in the state of Iowa who are concerned about driver safety. It has DOT, DMV, Iowa State University, ITRAN, the Iowa Patrol, Governor's Traffic Safety Conference, just all kinds of people involved with driver safety. And then we've also been part of the Senior Driver Subcommittee. At one of the meetings several years ago, a lady by the name of Dawn Marshall, who's in charge of the simulator, driving simulator at the University of Iowa, was in our group. And Alan said to Dawn, is there any way that we could work with you we need data that says, okay, people who take our class are better drivers. We need something to prove it. Because back in 2008, Dr. Linda Boyle from the University of Iowa was doing a study on 2 intersections in Lynn County where I live. One at Springville, that's a terrible intersection, as you know, many crashes and deaths there. Another one that had no problems. She was using a car that had all kinds of gadgets in it. They could put monitors on the people so they could tell what their heart rate was, whether they were excited and so forth. And Alan again said to Linda, is there any way that in that study you could also study people who have taken our class versus those who haven't? And so she agreed to do that. I sent letters to people who had taken our class and said, they're doing this, they'll pay you so much. If you would be interested in doing that, please call this number. And I don't remember what the number is. It was a small study, and I admit that. But I think in the past I've given you a sheet that lists about 6 or 7 things that she determined in there, that people who had taken our class responded quicker, were more conservative, braked sooner, all of this stuff, the things we're looking for. So this was kind of an outgrowth. I met with Dawn Marshall at the Simulator Lab a couple of times. We kind of worked out where maybe we could have people in the Iowa City area come in, drive in the simulator, then take the class, then come back about 4 or 6 months later and drive the simulator again, just after they'd had time to, remember the things that they'd been taught in our classes, and we wanted to measure, was there any difference? It was going to take a lot of money. Dawn said she would see about the funding. Bob Johnson, Dick's predecessor, who was our regional coordinator, I thought I should notify Bob about it. He asked me to present at our regional meeting. Julie Lee, our national director, was there, said, I'm going to call you and Al and talk to you about this. And so we passed it on to national. And so if that comes to fruition, it's because of Al, his idea that we need this. He's so intense that we've got to have something out there. And I think all of you know we are also, it's been slow. We are, again, because of Al, we're wanting to work with the Department of Motor Vehicles, Department of Transportation, on trying to do a study in Iowa. That's why when you teach a class, you're sending me the driver's license numbers and whether or not those people are first-time or repeat drivers. The gentleman at DOT who was going to work with us, very young, died of cancer last fall, and so we're kind of stymied. But we still want to keep that going because we want to try to measure people who have taken our class first, those that haven't. How do they rate on moving violations, crashes, deaths, and see if we can come up with some good data. So it just shows that if people have good ideas, we can put those into force. I want to thank Kemp, Connie, Ann, again from the state office. It's been a wonderful working with these people in the past. We've had excellent, as you saw today, developing even better relationship. Dick, we thank you for coming. I got something else written down here, but I don't know what to tell you. And Paul, we appreciate you. We'll sort of adopt you as a native son.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming back from national. Those of us who have been in the driver safety program know that at a national level we really struggled for a number of years with lack of leadership and turnover. And if you were here last year, you got a chance to meet Julie Lee, our new director, and I have to say that things are changing tremendously there. They will now listen to us. They don't necessarily always do what we think they should do, but they will listen to us. They return our communications. As you could see from what Paul talked about today, they're finally bringing us into the 21st century when it comes to technology, and so we appreciate that very much.
I have to tell you a story.
Okay.
An interesting thing happened in the last 2 days. I went on the website to check on whether or not there was a class in a particular area. And unfortunately, the website turned up blank. And so I called, I think I called fulfillment, and they gave me the number of somebody in Washington, except that person wasn't there. Well, somehow Paul got this message, and he called, you called me or emailed me?
I sent you an email.
You sent me an email about the website crashing just before I came here today. Why, I got a phone call from National telling me that the website would back up. Now, that has never, ever happened.
Yeah, that's another example. Alan and I, when Mark Christopherson, who is a new instructor in Sioux City, hopefully is going to be here tomorrow. He has been scheduled to teach Thursday night. He's retired from the community college over there. Western Iowa Tech, is that the name of it, I think? On Thursday night, so he couldn't be here today tonight, but I hope he's going to be here tomorrow. But he still needed someone to co-teach with him, an experienced instructor, so he could get out and get going. He's interested. He found out we were going to be there, said, hey, chance you guys can co-teach with me, so we went Wednesday afternoon, co-taught with him. When he was in the class going through the pre-course quiz, question number 13, for those of you who've been around for a while, you remember that we used to have the question about passing on the right, and it was so ambiguous that they threw it out and put in a different question. Well, the people started saying, that's not what we got in our books. And all of those people had the wrong pages in there. And so I emailed Julie and said, I don't know if anybody else has told you this, but here's what happened. I got a letter back, or an email back from Gio.
Gio.
Said, oh yes, we know all about that. We put it in the leadership link. We put it in the driver safety newsletter. Said, I said, well, that tells me that you're telling me I'm not reading the communication coming from Washington. I said, you're right. I've sort of, taken it a little easy, and I probably read it and haven't paid attention. So if any of you check your manuals when you hand them out, and check number 13, if it's in there, don't forget about it and use the one that you've got. We also have guests tonight, Tony and Marcia Vola. Tony is the state AARP president. We have had fantastic relationship and excellent support from the state. What's your actual title? Executive Board?
Executive Council.
Executive Council. And Tony, I'd like to give you a few minutes to talk a little bit about AARP. Thank you for coming.
Well, over there so you be in the camera shot. Oh.
Now let's see if everybody can hear me. First of all, I'm not going to talk about AARP. You folks know about AARP, rather I'm going to talk about you a little bit. As volunteer state president, everybody probably wonders, what the heck is a volunteer state president? It's very simple. I go wherever Connie tells me to go. I say whatever Ann tells me to say, and then Kid tells me how good I did after it was over. Except tonight, they give me the leeway to talk about whatever I want to talk about. And what I want to talk about tonight is the appreciation that we have for you. Those of you that I have met before know that my wife and I own a business, and it's an in-home care business. So we work with seniors, we work with disabled, we work with the various, the single people that you need to educate. Because we have seen over the years that some of these people need to know they shouldn't be behind the wheel anymore. And you're the one that delivers the message. So I've often thought, as you look at the quandary that you're in, you're the messenger. You have to be concerned with the message. But more important, you got to get the recipient that is willing to come and listen to that message and understand that message. It reminds me of the story I heard about a priest and a minister that was standing in front of the church, and they had a sign that said, "The end is near." And this car goes by, he takes a quick look, he's speeding right on down the road, and they hear this big crash. And the priest looks to the minister and says, "Maybe we should change the sign to say, bridge out ahead." So as you work with National, as you work amongst yourselves, and as you work with the recipient, okay, to get them to listen and understand the message, we on the outside appreciate what you're doing, because we know the children aren't always the best messenger. That the people that need to listen, like to listen to outsiders, are more willing to listen to you than anybody else. So, thank you very much for what you do. We appreciate what you do. Most of the time, I like to leave you with a little story about some of our clients. Tonight, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I want to leave you with a quandary that when you get the opportunity, you can try to solve. And it's something I've thought about for years if I'm driving down the road. And it's very simple. Why are all the drivers behind me total idiots and the ones in front of me morons?
Tony, you got that right. In your packets also, there was another sheet. On one side was sort of a history of our last 6 years, how we've done. and I don't know if you've taken time to look at it, but from 2010 to 2011, we went from 639 graduates to 1,044. That's because of you people who are out securing new hosts, getting graduates, training people to be safer drivers. That's a 63% increase. As Paul pointed out today, we were one of the states that increased last year. On the other side, I have this, and it showed Iowa, 63% increase last year. There's also another graphic up here that says Iowa, #1. And as Paul pointed out, we had, of all the states, we had the greatest increase from November 2010 to November 2011, the Veterans Program. We had a 553% increase. Again, because you people took the challenge to get out there and do that. I think we have a lot of safer drivers out there. The American Legion and AMVETS chapters that I taught with last year, the commanders told me afterwards they were disappointed in their turnout. They thought they would have more people there. And I said, okay, we'll do it again next year. And so I'm thinking they're going to work hard, and so we need to reach out and go back to those people and secure some more so that we can build on that. The same thing is true of the educators. As Paul said, I was quite critical of National last year because of the way they handled that. They said, we're going to handle everything from Washington. We're going to have to go out and promote it. And it didn't work. And National realizes that. So they're changing this year. So again, we have the opportunity to go out and reach out to the retired, in Iowa, it's called the Iowa Retired School Personnel Administrators. Right? Association, I'm sorry. Anybody, again, that works. So we need to go out into the areas and get those. You have been a great Iowa team. It's been great to see what we've been able to accomplish. But we're not done. And I hope you will carry that enthusiasm over as we get into this next year. Our numbers are down at the beginning. They typically are a little bit in the winter, but we need to start calling on hosts, setting up new classes so that we can, again, make an opportunity for a lot more drivers in the state of Iowa to take advantage of our classes. So I hope you'll consider that a challenge. Al, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Let's thank Larry.
Did I see a tear?
No, but a big smile.
Thanks, Larry. I just wanted to say, you can see the intensity. You can see the intensity that Larry has for this program. One that he has nurtured, maybe, and brought back from the brink. And you have to appreciate that. Also, we appreciate the fact that Alan has sort of been the godfather of the program and has made sure that all of us understood that, and that his intensity and his concern has made this one of the finest programs in the country. So on that behalf, I'm going to make a presentation, and I'd like for Alan to stand. Larry, would you stand, please? And Terry, would you stand, please? I know you don't want to. But on behalf of the National Director, we have a token of appreciation for your service. Carry it and treasure it. Thank you.
When you're done, I have one more.
Go ahead, I'm done. I want to thank you for coming, and see you tomorrow.
Ken, I think you can do it on your own.
Thank you. Just for a moment. Now, I don't know what kind of cable television this particular hotel has in it, but you have an assignment, early evening assignment. Between 9 and 10 Central Time, the first AARP live show on RFD TV for this year will be on. So from 9:15 to 9:45, you should all write down the number 888-678-2277. Anyway, it'll be scrolling, and it's your night to go watch RFD TV for an hour before you go back to the bar. And tune in, because our own Mary Alice Larson from Marshalltown will be one of the hosts, along with Sarah Jennings, my counterpart from South Dakota that you might have met, and Bruce Cobble, the former state director in Iowa, my boss, is going to be taking your call live at night. No delay. No delay. So we want, and this is all on that You've Earned a Say business that I told you about this afternoon. So
What's the number?
the number is 888. Even if you can't watch it, you should call in. 888-678-2277. That's 1-888-678 toll-free 2277. So be sure to tune into RFD TV tonight between 9 and 10. Call in between 9:15 and 10:15 on the You've Earned a Say. What's the matter?
What channel is it?
People are just asking what channel.
I have no idea. That's why I'm saying check out your... I don't know whether it's even available in the hotel. But I'll tell you what, even if you can't watch it, you can call in. Thanks. And it's probably live streaming on
It is live streaming on AARP.org.
Yeah, watch it in the bar. Okay. Thanks. I'm sorry.
By all means.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.